Dum dum day, dum dum day, dum dum day, dum 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 day, dum dum day, dum dum day, dum. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Calling all sisters and brothers of love, calling all nations and angels above. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Let us rise, 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 like a phoenix from the fire, and we will fly, 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 higher and higher and higher, and we will stand, 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 in solidarity for this sacred land, and we will lead, 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 with compassion for all humanity. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. And we will pray, 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 for love to show the blessed way. And we will hear, 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 the truth that leads us out of fear. And we will really choose to see those we perceive to be our enemy. And we will be set free with the light that shines in you and me. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. And we will choose to heal the pain we feel, and we will rise above, 'cause we are warriors of love. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Dum.
Greetings and welcome to Inner Light Ministries Sunday service. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson, and I'm so pleased to have you with us. Just breathe in life for a moment. The rejoicing of the fact that we are spiritual beings incarnate in these bodies, but who we are is transcendent of all of that, and we come here to celebrate the you, the real you, the you within the you that you don't even know that you are yet. And part of our job here at Inner Light Ministries as spiritual community is to help each other to awaken to the truth of who we are. Somebody gave me a bumper sticker not too long ago, and the bumper sticker says, "Wake the flock up." And that's what we're here to do, is to wake up. Isn't that amazing? That there's nothing extra, that there's nothing missing, that there's nothing fundamentally wrong with us that we have to fix or that we have to change. We just have to tap into the truth of who we are and allow that to reveal and allow that to shine. That's what we are about. When we do it at the individual level, it bleeds on through into the collective level. You can't have anything at the collective level that's not happening at the individual level. Just let that sink in for a moment. We can't have a peaceful nation without peaceful people. You can't have a warring nation without warring people. So whatever you see going on in the collective is just the individual supersized. And whatever we see at the individual level is just the macro level, a microcosm of it. All the same, inner, outer, upper, lower. We don't even try to make the distinctions between big or small. Life just is. Breathe that in, and you are part of that isness of life. So whether you're here for the very first time, whether you are here for the umpteenth time, it really doesn't matter. This is a divine appointment. Isn't that extraordinary? I mean, if you really think about it, because no matter when you're tuning into this, it's going to be the right time for you. It's the right time for you. Anytime that I have a Sunday service or anytime that we're gathered here at Inner Light, that exact configuration of people is unique. There's a reason why the labyrinths of our lives cross, and that's not a mistake. So if you're listening now, it's because you're supposed to. And it's not just for you, but it's for me too. It's for all of us. So I might just be meeting you first before you meet me. But together, it's just one heart. I want to let you know now that after the service, there's a Zoom watch party that's going on. So these are individuals who are listening to the service. They're on platforms just like you are right now. And they are available after service to talk to one another. So the people who are physically in the building, we can have a chance to go and socialize. And you can socialize some. Be in breakout groups, chat, and talk. You don't have to have this as a solo, isolated experience. You are part of our spiritual community. And we give this as an offering so that you know that we see you and that you always have a place here at Inner Light. So one of the things that's near and dear to us is this idea of tools for living. There's all kinds of tools. There's prayer, there are paradigms and concepts, there's ways of being in service and music. I mean, you name it. There are a lot of different tools. And one of the tools that we offer every Sunday are affirmative activations. See, you live life at the level of your narrative. Your experience isn't what happens, it's how you name what happens. And how we name it depends upon the frequency that we vibrate at. So we're here to elevate our consciousness so that we can see things that we otherwise would not be able to see. We're here to elevate our consciousness so that we're able to unleash, to let out the majesty that is within us that's just covered up with a lot of muck of the world. So I invite you to participate with us in the saying of these affirmations. It's 100 words every week. We have a theme every month. And the theme for August 2021 is expansion. It's expansion. So the affirmations are going to be coming up on your screen. I invite you to read along with me. So the topic for today is every idea comes with its own supply. I am synchronized with the rhythms and harmonies of life. I flow easily with life's ebbs and tides. I am fertile soil for the seeds of promise. The good I seek is seeking me. My entire being is an incubator space for divine ideas. Every idea has its own gestation period. Every idea comes with its own supply. I trust the processes of divine unfoldment. Now is always the right time for divine order. It's not my job to open up the rosebud. I am content being a good spiritual gardener. I relax into divine timing and right action. Just breathe that in for a moment. Every idea comes with its own supply. I want to liken an idea to a seed. The seed knows what it needs to be. Already coded within it is everything. The roots, the plant, the fruit, all of it is in there. So when you plant the seed, your job is not to try to make the seed something. Your job as a gardener is to provide the fertility. Let's sink in for a moment. Your job as a gardener is making sure there is the proper environment for the seed to be able to do whatever it is that the seed does. Okay? This is what we are in life. Just let that sink in for a moment. We are not the seed, and we are not the supply. We're not the seed. We're not the fruit. We're the gardener. We're the gardener. Our job is consciousness. We're not entity, we're verbs. We're verbs. We are life in motion. We are energetic expressions. So this creating an environment, this is not something static. This creating an environment is all the time. It's 24/7. It requires us to be in complete alignment with whatever it is that we're planting if we want the most bountiful and fruitful crop. Let that sink in for a moment. Every divine idea comes with its own supply. So that line in the affirmations about it's not my job to open up the rosebuds, that's actually a line from a story that my mother used to tell in church. She was a frequent speaker and would, work with the children and do vacation Bible school and that kind of stuff. And she would tell this story about this little boy, Johnny. And one morning, his mother was looking all over the house and couldn't find him and kept calling him, Johnny, Johnny. And turns out he was outside. And he was all dewy and wet out there. And she says, what are you doing out there? And he sticks out his little chest and he says, I'm helping God. She says, you're helping God? What are you doing? And he proudly says, I'm opening up the rosebuds. And as silly as that may sound, that's us. That's us all the time. We're out there trying to open up the rosebuds. It's not our job to open up the rosebuds. The rosebuds know when it is their time to open. They know that. Our job is not to do that, because you know what will happen? If you try to force that rosebud open, it's going to die. It's going to die. Like it says in the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, that rushing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Rushing it to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Every idea is like a seed. It comes with its own supply. We make the big mistake of thinking that there is a baton pass. Okay? Like the universe puts something on our heart, some idea, something that we think is supposed to happen. Maybe it's something that we want to happen, something we want to create. And then we get the idea that it's on us to make it happen. So it's like this baton pass. This idea came from someplace, boom, boom. You know, we're just starting the Summer Olympics right now in track and field. So they're the relay races. So the people are running and running, and they're the ones that are doing the baton race. They pass the baton, then the one in front picks it and goes the next leg. Okay? And that's what we think is happening. That it's like the universe's job was done just by putting something on our heart. And now after that, everything's on us to make it happen. No, that's not how it works. So much so that that consciousness is actually contrary. That kind of consciousness is actually counterproductive. Because what we'll do is we'll look around and go, well, how is that supposed to happen? And because we don't see or we don't understand how that's going to happen, we don't even believe that it can happen. It would be like somebody giving you an apple seed, and you have the seed in your hand, and you're going, and how am I supposed to get some apples out of that? And you running around trying to figure out how you're supposed to get some apples out of that seed. No. You'll get apples out of that seed when you trust the seed. Okay? When you develop a relationship to the seed that allows it to be in an environment in which it can flourish. Every divine idea comes with its own supply. Just let that sink in for a moment. So we stress. We stress so much over the how. And when we can't figure out the how, we deny the what. This is a big spiritual malpractice that so many of us get into all the time. Something says, you know, you should move in that direction in a career. Well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Something says, you know, you should start this project in your neighborhood. I don't know how to do that. Something says, well, this might be a good idea, this program in your church. I don't know how to do that. Something says, you know, you should really heal that relationship with your sister. Well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. This, I don't know how I'm going to do that, becomes the ego's excuse to do nothing. Or becomes the ego's excuse to expend all of its energy just running around. No. Now, this is going to sound really strange to a lot of you. Just take a breath and listen. Just say yes. Just say yes. Not yes when I see it, Yes, when I figure it out. Yes, when I know it can happen. Yes, when all of the resources show up. So we're sitting on the fence. We're sitting on the fence. We're waffling. Well, it kind of makes sort of sense, maybe kind of, sort of, but until I can see the way forward, it's not really real to me. I'm not really cultivating it. You see, your only responsibility is possibility consciousness. Just think that just let that sit for a moment. Your job is not to know the how, the when, the where. Your job is to just know that it's possible. I often use the example of children and child rearing because I feel like it gives us such an illustrative example of how life works. A child is a divine idea. You can't make a baby. You can conceive. But you can't get in the womb and make all the cells split and make things multiply and create arms and legs. Not happening. Just not happening. Okay? The divine idea comes with its own supply. It already knows how to go on and become what it is that it is. Divine ideas have gestation periods or germinating periods. And we make this mistake. See, first the roots, then the fruits. Your mind is like the soil. Your mind is like the soil. And the question becomes, how fertile is your soil? How receptive is your mind to the idea that it can happen, that it's possible? Is your mind closed? Is your mind full of a lot of rocks and rubbles or weeds? Before you plant, you have to cultivate the ground. You've got to churn it up. You've got to make some room. If you just drop ideas, like seeds, ideas just drop in your head, but you haven't made any room, you haven't made any space to let it take some root in there, you won't hold on to it. Somebody can give you a piece of information right now. I call it hanging your hat on it, having some place to hang your hat. If you don't have some place of connection to do something with that piece of information so that it can root in you, you won't even remember it. There's this germination, there's this gestation period. So we plant the seed, and we're waiting for something to come topside. But guess what? Before it comes up, it has to go down, which to the naked eye will appear like it's the complete opposite direction. But it has to take root before it can bear fruit. You can't see the roots. So to the naked eye, the seed is planted, but to the naked eye, it may appear like nothing's happening. So it is in your life. These divine ideas of possibility, these divine ideas of things that you're being called to do or things that are waiting to happen. Sometimes we can get disillusioned because it looks like nothing's going on. It looks like nothing's happening. But it's taking root inside first. There's a patience that we have to have with the divine order and the right timing. I've had to learn this a lot, particularly as a social justice activist. Because, as a young activist, like most young activists, I'm impatient. I want it to happen now. I want it to happen yesterday. Okay? But I've grown to understand that there's a time for the idea to come. We even use that phrase, the idea whose time has come. And we don't know all of the things that have to converge to make that just the perfect environment for that thing to emerge right now. But no time is wasted. So if you're getting the call to do this thing, to go get in this educational program, okay, fine. You're impatient. You want to get into that thing now. Keep visualizing it. Keep claiming it. Keep seeing it for yourself. Keep talking about it. Keep it alive in your consciousness, because while you're doing that, other things are happening. Doors are opening that you didn't know were opening. Things are coming your way that you didn't even know were coming. And I know you've had that experience where somebody comes up and it could be something silly like, I was cleaning out my garage and you know what? I found these baseball cards that my son used to have. And, I was going to throw them away, but something just said, give them to you. And you're like, oh, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I was just having this conversation yesterday with my nephew, and I was telling him about those exact baseball cards. You can call it luck, you can call it serendipity, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I'm telling you, that's how the universe works. So have some patience. Have some patience. It's growing roots first. Then it comes up. But you know what? It may not look like fruit when it first comes up. Listen to what I'm saying. You plant the apple seed, something sprouts up, but it may take a minute. The divine order, the right action, for the tree to actually grow, for the fruit to actually be there. Okay? Nothing's wrong. If I have apple seeds and I go out and I plant 40 acres of apple seeds, and I take you right after I planted that, and I say to you, look at my apple orchard. And you're kind of looking at me like, I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Okay? Is it an apple orchard or not? What point does it become the apple orchard? Is it the apple orchard when it first sprouts? Is it the apple orchard when they're trees? Is it only an apple orchard when there are apples on the tree? What about when there aren't apples on the tree? Some divine ideas are seasonal. Things come into our life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Everything's not an evergreen. Some things are deciduous. They sprout, they come up, they fall away. But they'll come back again. Because that's its nature to do. I know in my life too often, particularly with relationships, I've tried to make deciduous relationships evergreens. And have been real frustrated. But every divine idea comes with its own supply. If we grow into greater appreciation for what things are. If we go into more contemplation, reveal to me. Reveal to me. What is this? How does this fit in my life? How does it work? What is my relationship to it? Because there's a divine right relationship between all people and all things. That's part of that divine supply. You don't have to predetermine. You don't even have to figure out what the relationship is. And if we stop pigeonholing people into our preconceived ideas about who they're supposed to be, and we just create that open space for the revelation of how we best fit into each other's lives, oh, there's a richness. There's a richness. There's a richness. What the divine has in mind is so much bigger than anything that you can imagine. The divine supply is not limited to just your resources. The divine supply is not limited to just the past precedents. The divine supply is off the bell curve. More than you can ever imagine. Easier, faster, cheaper, more accessible, more coherent, just more right. Just breathe that in for a moment. So I invite you on this adventure. I invite you on the adventure. You don't even have to know how. If you will just say that to yourself, every divine idea comes with its own supply. When you feel yourself getting frustrated or impatient, when you're wondering if and how and just, I don't care whether it's politics or something personal, every divine idea comes with its own supply. And you'll find yourself relaxing into a divine order where you won't be so exhausted and your gifts will shine more. Just breathe that in. We're a praying community at Inner Light. It's a praying spirit. It's not just an activity that happens from time to time. So we invite you to send in your prayer requests. And knowing that we have people who are trained, who are holding you in the highest watch all the time. They're knowing that those little apple seeds in your life are bearing good fruit, and that the field is already ripe unto the harvest. Trained to know that and to see that. Let us give that gift to you. And even if you can see it, even if you know, let us stand with you in that. You know, where 2 or 3 or more are gathered together, something happens. There's a synergy, synchronized energy that makes things manifest at such a fuller level. So you'll see on your screen, there's plenty of ways. You can fill out cards if you're here on our campus. You can do email. You can phone it in. And we have people who will keep you on our prayer list for 30 days. For 30 days. And it's all confidential. All confidential. So you don't have to worry about anybody getting hold of anything. Your request is sacred to us. Just breathe that in. And we'll say a short prayer now just to solidify this. as we turn within. Create in us a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within us. We are fertile soil for the seeds of promise. We yield. We allow the Spirit of the living God to go before us, to make the rough places smooth and the crooked places straight. The living God goes before us, providing what we need before we even need it. Opening doors we didn't even know were there to be knocked on. So we say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for all matters that are heavy on our heart, we lay it down. We lay it at the altar, and we allow the alchemy of the divine, like a big compost pile. Spirit takes everything, like the Mother Earth. Everything comes out of her and goes back into her. And she transforms it. So that even the crap of our life is fertilizer for whatever is new. Thank you, God. So with utter humility and gratitude that I release this word, knowing that it is so. And so it is. Amen. We breathe that in. Participating in divine circulation. It's a form of prayer. It's opening up wide to the goodness. It's knowing that we're only a resource, that people, places, and things are just a resource, that there's only one source. And we're not confused about that. So we don't make God out of people, places, and things. There's always different avenues through which the divine is blessing us. So we say thank you to all of you who have given of yourselves to this ministry, given of your time, given of your talents, given of your treasures. And there's always room for you to be able to give more, and for those of you who haven't participated with us yet, to be able to do that. So we welcome that. We welcome your skills. We welcome your treasures. You'll see on your screen that there are numerous ways that you can make contributions. You can text to give. You can do it online. Depending upon where you are, there might be QR codes right there that you can scan. Many of us, particularly throughout COVID, have done a lot of shopping on Amazon. And Amazon is a recipient. Inner Ministries is one of the charitable recipients, and Amazon Smiles. So you could still use your Amazon Prime. Just go into your account and put Inner Ministries in there, and you don't have to do a thing. There's residual from the sales that just come into the ministry, and we're grateful. We're grateful for everything. For everything. We know this has been a tough time economically for so many people, and not the least of which for us too. Those businesses like ours that depend upon people coming in, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So we're still holding everybody in the highest esteem for recovery of your health, of your finances, all the different things that are going on all over the world as well. There's a lot going on. But don't let that shut you down. Don't let that shut you down. Keep being a great giver in life, because we receive with the same measure with which we give. And we thank you. Thank you. Just breathe that in. So, it is my pleasure to invite a musician to come in to our space here to give us an offering. Her name is Amy Steinberg. You can check her out online. Great, wonderful consciousness. And we turn it over to Amy now to give us a musical offering as we start to close the service.
This is Flying on Faith. You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. You could cry all night about the things that you hate, so dissatisfied in so many ways, but I'm gonna find a way to celebrate today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door, not looking back because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face today. Today, I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Ah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. You could hurry full of worry, let the fear take you out, imagining the worst overcome with doubt. No way to know, knowing is the way today. Today, I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Yeah, I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door, not looking back because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face today. Today, 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 today. I'm flying on faith. Hey, I'm flying on faith. You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you could stress on the strife. I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain to